Bandwidth for today's show is brought to you by SoftLayer.com. We love SoftLayer here at Talkapolis. They are the greatest hosting company ever. They make everything easy. Check out their website at SoftLayer.com. Thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Talkapolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Hi, thanks for joining us for Nashville's Fitness and Health Roundup. Today we have our expert on site, Tirsa Pagano, and Tina is going to be joining us with a few questions about her workout, keep the intensity up, and getting some of Tirsa's insight on that. So, what questions do you have for Tirsa today?
Okay, so you do a bunch of different cardio type classes, and you have said previously in your bio that too much cardio will not work out ideally for you. So if I were to choose one of your cardio classes, perhaps the spin class, I've never done a spin class before, what would I expect and how would I attach that to a different workout program? What would I add to that to get an optimal result?
If you're doing a spin class, I would say try to keep it on the short side. I would say 30 minutes. Now, usually your spin classes everywhere, all over town, are 45 minutes. But try to cool down a little sooner if it's intense enough. I mean, you got to find an instructor that's intense. So what you want to do, if you do intervals in a spin class, go as hard as you can, keep it short, and then make sure you get your weightlifting in. Double the amount of your cardio. So if you're doing I would say 30 minutes of spin, try to get a good hour of weightlifting in, like maybe the next day, or if you have time, the same day. Now, ideally, if you have time, do a spin class, but if you don't have time, if you're one of these people that have to work and, you only have an hour, you have an hour, pick a class that's going to get everything in. So, there's a lot of people that, like endurance sport, they'd pick a spin class. Good for them. That's awesome. But if you're just there and you want to change your body composition, you want to get fit and healthy, you need to pick a class that incorporates strength training in there. So pick like a boot camp type class, something that's going to get, high intensity intervals in there, plus, your strength training. So
you said boot camp.
They're called boot camp. They have so many formats for them. There's so many different type classes. Let's just call them boot camp for, easy talk. But, there's different names for them. But
how do you know how intense to go and if you're really... What should you be looking for as you go through? So say if I do the spin class and I really push, what should I expect afterwards to know I've gone at the right intensity, or that am I going hard enough, or am I doing enough, or am I backing off enough? Those sorts of things.
Well, it depends what your goal is. If you're an endurance athlete and you come in there and you want to do it at 45 minutes, you're going to keep it, moderate. But if you're in there just, to get fit and get some fat off you, you want to get to your anaerobic threshold and over just for a certain period of time, just to get some glycogen out of your body so you can burn fat after the class. So what you want to do is feel like you're this for short bursts, feel like you're completely out of breath, your perceived exertion is very high, you're huffing and puffing, and then take it back down and recover. That's what you want to do maybe 10 times or 5 times. It depends how fit you are too. This is general fitness, so I would have to actually sit down with you and go, this is your plan because this is what you want to achieve. So everybody's different. For general fitness, I would say, 5 good intervals in a spin class.
So you said anaerobic threshold, so that's taking it obviously out of the aerobic zone into where you're actually burning more glycogen, and you can't just go by oxygen alone. It's not just what's called the fat burning zone, which has been so popularized, but go way above that where you're huffing and puffing and you could not maintain it for, say, more than 45 seconds a minute. That'd be tops.
Exactly.
And you might actually do it for 15 or 30 seconds.
Exactly, because your body uses a different energy system. But you will burn more calories, and after class or after your workout, you'll still burn calories, where if you stay in that fat burning zone, which can be good too, because if you do too much high intensity, you're overtraining. We've talked about it. It's very complicated, actually, especially for the average person. But if you can get 2 or 3 good high intensity short workouts in a week, as far as cardio, you're doing great. Unless you want to just,
And that's obviously training the heart muscle as well. It's making it work a little harder. So it's like a workout for your heart. It's not just fat burning, but it's actually good for your heart.
Yeah, it's good for your heart too. You just don't want to do it too much.
Yeah. So say if I take some cardio classes and I'm working on that and I'm going to that threshold, but I'm not necessarily comfortable because I'm just there by myself. Granted, it's a group and there's other people. How would personal training assist in that? What would go along with 2 to 3 or 1 even cardio class a week? Like, what would I gain out of a personal trainer once or twice a week in addition to that?
Well, we can sit down and see what your goal is. We can see where your heart rate needs to be. We want to see where you want your body fat to be. We can go over your nutrition so we can incorporate weightlifting instead of just cardio. So a personal training comes in handy for everything else. I mean, just a group setting, it's just an average for everybody, in the group. I mean, you can't, I've had classes where I've had people in there for years and I know how fit they are and we can't step it up. And I'm like, really, you should get a trainer because you have outgrown this class. You can do so much better. You're just keeping up with everybody that's just here. When you're already here, you can do so much. You can work much harder. You can look much different if you actually got a trainer to work with you because you're just doing your average workout that you've completely outgrown by now. After 5 years, you should be lifting more than 8-pound weights at this point. Yeah. I've seen people do that. I mean, I've had them for 5-6 years in the class. They're still lifting 8-pound weights. I'm like, you have outgrown this class. What are you doing here? Now, there's one good thing about group fitness. Fitness is also about accountability and it has a social aspect. So for some people, it's a great way to socialize. So that's why they stay in a group setting. But if we're just talking about your body, then personal training is the way to go.
Okay. What kind of, if they're looking for, say, leaning out, typical, not obviously competition level, but just the average person trying to get lean, have some muscle tone, a little bit of strength, and just stay healthy, what kind of routine would you recommend? I mean, you've mentioned circuit training as your go-to for most people.
I think most people, if you just in there, just want to get strong and healthy, just do compound movements, like anything, big muscle groups, thinking squats, lunges, overhead presses.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
Everyone loves doing
pull-ups, a little bit of chest, lots of pulling movements, pushing, stuff that works your big muscle group. You're not just going to go, if you want to get fit, go to the gym, pick up an 8-bar dumbbell and start doing tricep kickbacks. That's not really going to get you much. So you want to get the most bang for your bucks. You want to get the big muscle groups out of the way. So if you're just in there and you're just like, I have 45 minutes, I want to get strength, start with the big muscle groups, get those out of the way. And then if you have time, maybe then start doing some kickbacks or bicep curls. But most people in the gym, the average person just really needs to stick to compound movements.
And how much does that push in cardio, or how do you do those movements to kind of get cardio at the same time?
In there?
With those compound movements? Because I find some of those will take, will challenge you with that. So
if you were doing squats and presses and you're doing them right, your heart rate will go up pretty high. I mean, you will burn some calories. If you're doing walking lunges, why not add a curl or an overhead press? So you're getting your upper, your lower, and your heart rate's up there. I mean, and then if you want to do some pull-ups in there, that will get your heart rate up. Go right into push-ups. So you're getting, a chest and a back, and your heart rate's up.
Do you change up the muscle groups so you might do something that's more leg oriented and then shift them without rest into something that's like an upper body?
And it really depends on how many times you're going to the gym. If you're there every day, you don't have to do that. But if you're doing this 3 days a week, do a push and a pull and superset them.
Yeah.
And if you feel like adding some extra cardio on there, get a ball, do some jump squats a ball, grab a jump rope, do some mountain climbers in between. Something gets your heart rate up. You're also working your shoulders when you do mountain climbers. You're working your core. So you can do 30 seconds of that in between while you're lifting.
So it doesn't have to be a strength movement necessarily. It's just as long as it keeps your heart rate up and you keep moving.
But even if you're doing a strength move, you can get your heart rate up pretty high.
Oh yeah.
A deadlift and a row together, a dead row, whatever, will get your heart rate up. You get your glutes, your hamstrings, and your back. You got everything. So
those large muscles are requiring a lot of oxygen, and so your body's pumping to feed those muscles.
And this is where a personal trainer, to make sure you hit all of those things, would be good for you to make sure you're getting the overall
without
with
hurting
all
yourself.
of that. And making sure that it fits for you and how you should feel before, during, and after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you say heavy, we're talking about based on your whatever your strength level is at the time.
Yes, exactly. You want to get your muscle to fail at some point. You don't want to just be like doing, rows or, underhand grip rows and with a 10-pound bar, 20-pound bar, and you can do like 100 reps. That might wear you out at some point. But if you don't feel it at like 25, 30 reps, you better up that weight because you are not going to break down your muscle tissue unless you want to, do 500 reps. You want to get some out of those reps. So.
Great. Well, thank you.
That's about all I had.
Great.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us for Nashville Fitness and Health Roundup. Again, look for Tirsa's profile if you're looking for a personal trainer at talkapolis.com and Nashville's beauty and health profiles.